morning. From Fox 5 News, this is Good Day Atlanta at 7 a.m.
Happening now, Winter Storm Fern heading for Georgia, preparing to enter the northwest corner of the state, triggering ice storm warnings. Our hours-long live team coverage continuing this hour with a closer look for you at preps from Calhoun to Clayton County. Good morning to you. It is Saturday. I am Caitlin Pratt. So glad you're here. Let's get straight over to Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes with a look at what we can expect. The timing of all of this, you have our attention, that's for sure.
Yeah, Caitlin, as we work our way through the day today, we are going to be looking at the likelihood of an ice storm moving into metro Atlanta and northern Georgia. So here is where things stand now. It is raining in parts of northwest Georgia, but that is not the main event, obviously. In some spots, including in Dalton, we are at freezing, so it is a tease of some freezing rain. But the main event, as you just saw, is still well out to the west, and that's going to arrive a little later on this evening. Temperatures in the 40s pretty much area-wide right now under overcast skies. Look at this mess that extends now from northwest Georgia back across Arkansas, Texas, and even as far west as New Mexico this morning. All of this is what's sliding towards metro Atlanta here through the afternoon today and arriving a little later on this evening as we see our way through this Saturday. So a live look here over downtown. Temperatures in the mid-40s right now, a light north-northeasterly breeze. That is the wedge taking place, but we do have the likelihood of disruptive and crippling impacts across metro Atlanta and northern Georgia. We're going to talk about the details of this ice storm coming up here in just a few minutes. Caitlin? We'll see you then. Alex, thanks so much.
And it is a storm alert day. To reiterate just how massive this is, it threatens to bring snow, sleet, ice, bone-chilling temps, and extensive power outages to about half of the U.S. population.
2,000 miles of watches and warnings. It's just absolutely incredible. More than half the country is going to experience winter weather.
More than 180 million people under watches or warnings for ice and snow, and more than 200 million are under cold weather advisories or warnings. In many places, they all overlap. Now, here in Georgia, officials have this word of advice.
Sit down with your family and make a communications plan. Know how you'll contact one another if you're reconnected, and if you're separated, how you'll reconnect. Make sure you have a ready kit with enough non-perishable food, water, and medications for 3 days.
GEMA is going to be holding another news conference later this morning at 11 o'clock. Fox 5 will be there to bring you the most up-to-date safety information. For many of you, though, road conditions are top of mind, right? GDOT crews began pre-treating the roadways at midnight, but the department warns these conditions will still be dangerous to travel, and they're advising folks to just stay put.
It is an ice storm scenario. It is not an if I should travel. An ice scenario is a no-go situation. If you've ever wanted to listen to me before and chosen not to, now is the time. Stay off the roads as this storm situation gets into Georgia.
GDOT patrols will focus on interstates first and then move on to state roads and other high traffic areas. And according to Live Viper, as Alex showed us earlier, the storm is going to begin impacting the northwest part of our state first. So we're going to go to check in with Good Day's Kim Leffler first. She's in Calhoun this morning. What can you tell us about preparations there? It's already started to drizzle, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Caitlin. The rain's really picked up here in the last 30 minutes or so. Not that freezing rain just yet, but GDOT crews here have been busy for the last 12 hours pre-treating the roadways here. GDOT officials tell me that here in northwest Georgia, they have 110,000 gallons of brine on hand. They had that before this storm moves in, and they have been making more brine as well throughout the morning just to be able to ensure that they can get the roadways treated here properly. And during my drive up here this morning on I-75 from Metro Atlanta, I did see plenty of brine there on the roadways. But one thing that's a little bit different with this system compared to other systems that they've seen in this area is the wind gusts that are expected to accompany this ice storm. So that's why GDOT crews are also ready to respond to help pick up any fallen trees.
One thing that's a little bit different this time is we're hearing about the amount of wind gusts that are going to be coming through. So all of our crews have chainsaws. We always think of what's going to happen to the roads, you know, the ice and the snow and things like that. But the truth is, with this type of wind that's coming through and the ice, we can see a lot of downed trees. So our crews are also ready to handle that contingency as well.
They're certainly going to be monitoring the conditions throughout the day, ready to continue to treat roads, especially if any brine is washed away from any rain, like what we are seeing here in Calhoun at this hour. But crews have also been busy throughout the state. I'm going to send it over to our Ray Urena, who is taking a look at the current conditions out in Gainesville. Ray, how's it looking out in your area?
Well, Kim, you just mentioned all that brine that Georgia DOT crews are making, and we are seeing the result of all that work, of all that overnight work here on 985 North, heading towards Gainesville. I'm going to show the outside of our Fox 5 Storm Chaser, where you can see the current conditions of the roads. I'm going to flip it over to night view so you can see that there is brine on the road. You can see that streak just in front of our road. That is what crews have been seeing. We have seen several brine trucks already on the roads passing by, making a couple more passes before this winter weather moves in later on today. And throughout this morning, we have seen people doing their final checks at the gas station, making sure that their pumps are fully filled and making any other last minute purchases such as bottles of water and non-perishable foods. In total, Northeast Georgia is expected to get anywhere between ½ inch to 1 inch of ice, which is devastating. And last night, Fox 5 cameras captured people getting their last minute preparations in at a local Walmart. Our Fox 5 storm team has been warning people to prepare for potentially multiple days without power due to this winter storm. And this stretch of Northeast Georgia up to Interstate 85 corridor is expected to be some of the hardest hit in and around the Atlanta metro. Now, if you live in Hall County, officials say there will be a warming center that's going to open at the North Hall Community Center, but they're also going to be activating their emergency operations center later on today at noon. But they are saying if you have to get on the roads, do so before the weather gets bad and hunker down if possible. Reporting live from the Fox 5 Storm Chaser, Ray Urena for Good Day Atlanta.
Good information, Ray. Thanks so much. And metro area cities like Dunwoody are doing their part to make the roads as safe as possible for first responders and others who have to travel. Their crews first had to make the brine solution before their trucks could go out and coat major roadways with it. That brine mixture can only do so much, though. Here's White County's Public Safety Director, David Murphy, on why that is.
And if it does maintain the brine or the salt in some areas, after under 23 degrees, that is ineffective. And plus, ½ inch of ice. It's very hard for our vehicles and equipment to travel these roadways.
And we're going to be keeping in touch with emergency management centers across the state. Alex is going to be monitoring a live Viper, so you are prepared as those temperatures drop, right?
Yeah, and we're seeing that already in a couple of spots. You saw Kim up in Calhoun. She has liquid rain right now, but just up the road in Dalton, we are recording officially at the airport now freezing rain. It is 32 degrees and raining in Whitfield County. Now, that does not mean this is starting sooner for Metro Atlanta. What you see up in parts of Northwest Georgia is going to continue to lift into Tennessee. For us, the ice storm warning kicks in at 1 o'clock today and goes until 10 a.m. Monday. If you are in this deep shade of purple here, which includes Metro Atlanta, Cobb County, Cherokee, Forsyth, Hall, Gwinnett, DeKalb, Rockdale, Athens, Gainesville, up towards Jasper and Calhoun, please prepare for a ½ inch of ice, potentially up to 1 inch, which will cause widespread power outages and down trees beginning this evening. A winter storm watch is in effect down on the south side. Actually, that was upgraded to a winter weather advisory through the overnight hours for 1/10 inch of ice. It would not surprise me at all if you see this expanded to Upson, Troup, Meriwether, Heard counties here over the course of the morning hours as we work our way into the evening hours tonight. Now, What you're looking at here, this is my hand-drawn forecast. I mentioned it earlier. I have looked at more models than I think I've ever looked at in a 24-hour period, and this is the result of it. I'm looking at more than a half inch of ice up across northeast Georgia, a quarter inch to a half inch of ice as far south as the city of Atlanta, and then let's say less than a quarter inch of ice. So still an ice storm and still an impactful ice storm, but not necessarily the destructive impacts. That's going to be west of the city and south of the city through Sunday night. A closer look at some of these cities involved here. More than a half inch of ice, and this is where I really need you to be prepared. Alpharetta, Johns Creek, Milton, Woodstock, Canton, Cumming, Gainesville, Buford, Sugar Hill, up towards Lula, where we just heard from, in White County, Cleveland, Dahlonega, Blairsville, and Clayton, more than a half inch of ice. Even a better scenario, you still end up with a lot of ice. Down here on the south side, this is quarter to a half inch. This is where I'm still looking for a decent amount of power outages and downed trees, thus the destructive label here. Madison, Covington, Atlanta, DeKalb County, over towards Rockdale, Oconee and Clark counties, Madison County. Again, all of this is through Sunday night. Down to the south, still looking at a glaze of ice, but not necessarily that widespread power outage impact. So there's your tease in northwest Georgia right now of some freezing drizzle, but still the main event is later on this evening. And even if we switch to rain, as what is somewhat expected, let's say for the second half of Sunday, that's not going to help things out a whole lot, because you're talking about a 38 or 39 degree liquid water on top of ice. That's not going to melt your ice very quickly. So we're going to have ice on the ground, ice on the trees, ice on the power lines, with gusty winds on Monday, which only increases the power outages. So we've been advertising all morning. Please have a plan to be without power, potentially with low temperatures down into the 20s and teens through the upcoming week.